The Chicago Bulls had a thrilling victory yesterday over the Los Angeles Lakers, and in that game, Coby White, Josh Giddey, and Matas Buzelis, amongst others, really showed out. On today's episode, I want to talk about the backcourt of Coby and Josh Giddey and how this backcourt has gone from a question mark to maybe something the Bulls can actually build around. We're going to talk about all that, plus Matas Buzelis and his rookie wall, and dive into the mailbag. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Eric Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today. I talked about on yesterday's episode how the evaluation of Coby and Josh Giddey matters so much for the Chicago Bulls and their future, right? If you evaluate these guys as a starting backcourt going forward that you want to build around, build with, however you want to view it, it really does drastically change like your focuses in the offseason as well as the type of players that you want on this team. Now, I am in no way saying that after the All-Star break, we know for 100% fact that Josh Giddey and Coby White can be together, but I do think when you look at the data, it makes a compelling argument that the Bulls are really going to have to make a decision on Josh Giddey this offseason and sooner rather than later make a decision on Coby White as well. Let's talk about it, right? In the games pre-All-Star break where I think it's clear that both these guys are playing much better, right? Josh Giddey's played 11 games post-All-Star break. Coby White has played 16 games post-All-Star break. And their numbers have gone up exponentially. When you look at Coby White, he went from averaging 18.2 points per game prior to the All-Star break to 25.6 after the All-Star break. He has 48% shooting from the field, 33% shooting from three. He's also chipping in 4.3 rebounds, 4.1 assists, still has those 2 turnovers per game. That's just who Coby White is, right? And it's been a lot more consistent from Coby. You're seeing Coby's fourth quarter scoring going up exponentially, right? And just how he operates with the ball in his hands as well. And he's also in attack mode. More on that here in a second. Josh Giddey post All-Star break has gone from 12.3 points per game before the All-Star break to 22.3 after the All-Star break. 53% shooting from the field, 52% shooting from three. He's also getting to the free throw line 5.5 times, up from the 2.5 times prior to the All-Star break. Just for evenness, that same number for Coby White, he's gone from prior to the All-Star break getting 3.3 free throws per game to 5.4, right? More on that again, like I said, here in a second. But Josh Giddey, we know that when you look at like the 3-point shooting, that's not sustainable. And that's not a knock on Josh Giddey. It's just nobody shoots the 3 ball over 50% for a full season, right? So when you look at these players, the truth between who they are, I always feel like it lies somewhere in the middle, right? I'm not somebody that I'm going to look at your lowest lows and try to make that you. I'm not going to just look at your highest highs and try to make that who somebody is as a player. It's about more so who you are in between that and how consistent can you be that player in between that, right? And I think when you look at Josh Giddey and Coby in that those same games since the All-Star break, those same 15 games, 11 games, the minutes they've played together, they played 200 minutes together. In those minutes, the Bulls are plus 64. They have a net rating of plus 15.9, basically 16, an offensive rating of 125, a defensive rating of 109. To put that into perspective, league average defensive rating is 110. If the Bulls had a defensive rating of 109 for an entire season, they would be around the 10th best defense in the league, which is basically where they've been post-All-Star break too, right? And so they're also running with the pace of 100.9, which again isn't the breakneck pace that the Bulls were playing with prior to the All-Star break, but it is still a very fast-paced, more up-tempo system. The backcourt also has a 61% true shooting percentage and a 57% effective field goal shooting percentage. To put that in perspective, if they did that for a full season, right now, they'd be the second best backcourt as far as most efficient scoring backcourt in the league. How are they doing this, though? That's the important part. We know Josh Giddey's having crazy numbers right now, 3-point shooting efficiency-wise, but it goes back to the drives per game. Coby and Giddy have both been in attack mode. They're both averaging basically 15 drive attempts per game, which is by far, right? I want to keep this clear. This is by far the highest number of a backcourt in the NBA since then. Now, again, they're not going to probably keep up that pace. You're not going to have basically 30 drive attempts per game from your backcourt. If you do, great, right? And in that, they're both shooting on drive specifically, 55% for Giddy, 57% from Coby White. They're both averaging basically 10 points per game off drives alone. That's what they're averaging per game scoring-wise. But they're both also doing it assist-wise, which makes this, again, crazy. When you look at it, Josh Giddey has a 12% assist ratio on drives. Coby White has an 8% assist ratio on drives, and that makes sense. Giddey is more of a pass-first guard. Coby White is more of a score-first guard, right? But they're still averaging that. As a matter of fact, Josh Giddey is passing on 41% of his drives, which are then turning into almost 18 points per game off drive scenarios. Again, that's not all him getting the assist. That just means off his drives overall and when he passes. And Coby White has a 38% pass percentage as well. And they're not turning the ball over on drives. While both Coby and Josh Giddey have been susceptible to turnovers over the course of the season, drives isn't the problem there. Actually, when they drive, they both have, like I said, less than one. They're turning the ball over less than 4% of the time on drives. What does that mean, right? To bring that all together, what does that mean? This backcourt has found a way to sustainably play together. The question is no longer about can they play together for me. It's about how effective they can be playing together and how much a team can win with a backcourt around Josh Giddey and Coby White, right? That's the question that you have there. Now, you have to fit in a certain type of play style. You want shooting around those guys. You want an athletic big that can run the court. You want all those things. But the fact of the matter is this, is that we're seeing these two players play much better. And we have a winning record when they do that. And so it's taken some time, and it's probably taken more time than what many people would have wanted to see, but it's taken some time. And I think that if AK and Eversley evaluate this properly, and you are, because you got to spend money on it sooner rather than later, if this can be something that is sustainable, the Bulls have their backcourt. The Bulls have a backcourt that can be productive. Now, they don't have the type of backcourt you're looking at and saying, oh, just by these two players being so amazing, we're going to win 50 games. But they do have building blocks. And again, Josh Giddey's 22 years old. He's not done growing either. And for those that are asking about Ayo Dosunmu, I have an interesting thing in this, right? Trey Jones, and I want to look at the Trey Jones. This is not to compare Trey Jones and Ayo, but for people who are asking how Ayo fits in on this, Trey Jones is averaging 10 drives per game, right? And Ayo Dosunmu as well was averaging around 8 per game, right? And Ayo Dosunmu actually has a better three-point shooting percentage, a better assist ratio on the fast break, and a better defensive rating and a defensive impact as well. So for those that are thinking that Ayo could be the odd man out here, which we'll get into that more as the season goes on, I tell you what, the way Coby and Giddy are playing right now, statistically and analytically, it seems like Ayo's going to fit into that, and he could even make this stronger with his ability to free range as a defender and guard the best perimeter player to kind of take some of that pressure off of Josh Giddey, which then would force mismatches. You then would have to cross your defensive mismatches. And for those that are into the weeds of basketball, when you have to cross the players that you're guarding, meaning that if Ayo, for example, is guarding the shooting guard or the point guard while he's playing small forward, if you have to put your small forward on Josh Giddey, which a lot of teams are doing because he abuses smaller point guards in the paint, that creates a mismatch, which means that if you do get a fast break, players can't, they have to play their matches. Less teams are playing zone defense, but then again, that's not on a fast break. So there are basketball things that are starting to point towards the Bulls AK may have quietly cooked something up here that could be sustainable for the Bulls. You still have to fill it out. And like I said over on Locked On Bulls, if this does end up working, if Josh Giddey and Coby White are your backcourt of the future, it puts more pressure on AK to take advantage while neither of the contracts are exponential, right? I don't think either's going to sign for a max level deal. Well, Coby cooks like this next season, he probably is getting a max level deal. But on top of that, AK still has to, it puts pressure on AK to do what he didn't do with the last team, and that's find the right players with the right mix to keep this thing going. So we'll see what the future does hold there, man. But overall, I think this backcourt is a very exciting proposition for the Bulls, and they're proving it out on the court We just got to see how much further we can take it. Now, with that said, one of the things I've been talking about is Matas Buzelis and hitting a rookie wall. Well, he was asked about that after his 30-point game last night. He says this. People can say what they want to say. I haven't hit a wall. I feel like I've got good energy out there. There's been some games where the offense hasn't really been going for me, but some nights are like that. Defensively, I feel like I've been really good. I'm a competitive guy. I just knew I had to come and compete. It's fun. I'm just enjoying my experience in guarding all these tough guys. Now, Josh Giddey was asked about Matas saying that, and Giddey flat out said, "Oh no, he's lying." Right? He's hit a rookie wall. But the question that we have here is Matas Buzelis, because of the nature of just more of an active player as he is he going to come out of that rookie wall area and actually find some rhythm, right? And is he going to find a second window in the season? Now, one game is way too much to try to say that or not, but one of the things that I love that Matas said is that drawing the defensive assignments that he has, and he's had some really tough defense assignments over the last few games, and it's been a mixed bag, right? Defensive rating hasn't necessarily been the best. Plus minus hasn't necessarily been the best, but the learning experience that Matas Buzelis is getting in guarding these players that he's had to guard, this is the trial by fire in the NBA, right? That is the trial by fire. You're going to have to have tough matchups every single night sometimes. And, I think that I know that, shout out to Wynn, who's like, at this point, we just got to call him Mr. Pessimistic. Anything that you say positive, Wynn just pops up, well, actually, do we actually know? And then if he doesn't have that, he'll be like, but Billy Donovan, though, the Billy Donovan of it all. Have you thought about that Billy Donovan? But nonetheless, Matas Buzelis is really, he's continually growing, and that's what this is. It's a growth aspect, and he is penciled in to be a starter next year. I don't see a world in which he's not starting next year. Before I already know Winton's typing on his keyboard, but how do we know that? Matas, I wouldn't assume Matas is going to be a starter. Just fun to Winton. But, and so Matas is going through a period right now that this is a difficult stretch of defensive assignments that he's going to have. And it's not getting any easier because, we got Denver coming up next. And you're either going to be guarding MPJ or Aaron Gordon if they're both healthy. And that is going to be another test for my boy. So, Matas going through the rookie wall, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people don't realize they've gone through it until they're hit this point next season and realize, oh, no, my condition is a lot better. So, we'll see what happens with Matas. But shout out to Matas Buzelis for his game last night, 31 points in 30 minutes. It was really good to see him play that and Billy Donovan trust him and ride the hot hand. He was 12 of 18 from the field. Love the way Matas Buzelis is playing basketball, man. But it is Sunday. That means it is a mailbag day. Let's get into these voicemails, man. This first one that we have here, this one's from TJ.
Yo, what's up, Hayes? This is TJ from the low end. Man, I got a question for you, bro. So I've been watching the recent games, and I've been watching your podcast and stuff, hearing the people talk about what if the Bulls can make a playoff push or a playoff run and to potentially upset the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you were saying that it was stupid. I wanted to basically see what you thought about how would this team compare to the Baby Bulls back when they had beat the number 1 seed. I think it was in 2008, the Celtics, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really remember for real. I was like a baby back then, or like a little kid. But yeah, I want to see how they stack up against each other and like whatever differences you see between the current Bulls and the OG Baby Bulls. Yeah, man. That's it. Peace.
Can the Bulls make a real playoff run? I mean, it's I still have my doubts, right? Because the team that we'll be facing is so good. And also, the Bulls didn't beat the Celtics. We pushed the Celtics to a 7-game series, but we ended up losing that series. You may either be confusing it with that one or a series a couple of years prior where we swept the defending champion Miami Heat. But that was a very different team. Ben Wallace had an amazing series against Shaq that year. But this team, look, here's the thing. I've learned in this to never say never. But the Cavs are just such a buzzsaw. That, it'd be really tough for them to surprise like the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, could they push them and make it a series? Maybe. I mean, with the way that this team is playing, if they're fully healthy, they're going to be able to throw a lot of different looks, a lot of different bodies. They're going to be able to defend in the paint. And that could make that series, more interesting than what it looks like on paper. So I'll say never say never. I'm not going to count my team out, but it would be crazy. If we're talking about this team and it ends up like, even if they push the Cavs to 6 games, a competitive 6 games, that would be huge, especially if it's led by your young players. So there you go there. Let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Corn.
Now, I'm already knowing what you're going to say. I'm already knowing what you're going to say. So I'm going to just say for you, yes, Drip, this is the new number. I know you're going to be like, another number, Corn. You change your number again, Corn. Yes, just be happy that you one of the people that got the new number. Just be happy. That's it. Just leave it at that, brother. You one of the rare in air that got my new number. So this is the new number. This is the new number I'll be calling you from. It's not a new caller. I'm the only nigga from Vegas that's going to be calling in. Anyway, besides that, man, hoo-wee, man. Let's get right into it. But I didn't get right into it, but let's get right into it. This is a hell of a run, man. Hell of a fucking run. Very impressed with this young squad. I don't know. I don't know, Drip. They making me turn a different. Now, you know, I am team keep a pick, team tank, whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm for. I want the pick. I want the lottery pick. I want, especially for 2025. So yes, I am team keep pick. But at the same time, I'm never going to be mad at a loss. I just can't be mad at my team losing. That's weird. It's weird. If we lose, I was like, all right, cool. It's whatever. If we win, I'm not going to be like, oh, fuck, we need that damn pick. If you win, you win. Coby, what the fuck? This is what I'm saying about this motherfucker, man. He draws you back in like this. His inconsistent, bipolar, hooping, punk ass. I can't stand you sometimes, motherfucker. God damn, Coby. It's just, cause I'm team trade Coby. But then he has these motherfucking runs like this, and then it get me all bubbly inside. I'm a motherfucking, you know me, Hayes. Everybody know me, man. I am the man of the moment. I live by the moment, die by it, right? Rest in peace, George Foreman. It's just, man, I am so impressed with this squad, with Coby, this run that we've been on. And I don't know, I'm excited, y'all. I'm just going to leave it at that. If we get a late draft pick, I'm not even going to be mad at it. And that's crazy to admit right now. It's because the way this team is balling right now, man. And let's hope this is not just a flash, man. I hope this is something.
First of all, how the hell do y'all be getting so many? I've had the same number since high school. Corn, you've had 4 numbers just since I've known you, which is like a little over a year, bro. Like, how do you go through 4 numbers in a year? That's crazy. Are you hiding from the Fed? That's the question that we got here. But, jokes to Corn. The Bulls are on a hugely impressive run, bro. And for those that know, Corn left this before the Lakers win. He actually left one afterwards that we'll play probably on tomorrow's episode after the Lakers win. But yeah, man, to trade Coby or not to trade Coby, I'll tell you what, he's making it really difficult because the way that I always look at it is this, right? And I get it. People are saying you got to strike where the value is high, but what about the value being keeping the player on the team? Like, what's the chances that you get somebody better than Coby White with the pick that you get? I think that's just the thing I always look at it for. Like, and don't get me wrong, I also understand the merit of stacking draft picks for a team that has not done the best in drafts and you want to kind of recoup that talent. I understand that too, but I think that always has to be at least some part of the question as well, is that in what you're getting back, is it more valuable than Coby? Now, I do think that if the Bulls somehow luck up and get in the top 4, they drafted Trey Johnson, then you're not necessarily looking at what you get back being better than Coby, but you are looking at, all right, let's free up these minutes for Trey. He's shown some things. Let's get something back for Coby. Then you look, it changes that. But until you already either have that player on your team, I think you always have to look at it as, what's the chances that what we get back is better than what Coby White is giving us right now, right? Now, you can always find talent late in the draft. Don't make no mistake about it. But I think that has to be part of the evaluation too. Like, we'll see. Coby White is playing really, really well. I love that he's found his rhythm to finish this season. And the Bulls may very well give him another opportunity to see what he can bring long term. So let's see what happens here. I don't want to see Coby go, but It just depends on if they do it, how they do it, the whys, and then the talent that they get back. And I guess we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's move into the next one, man. This one's from Vikram.
What up, Hayes? My name's Vikram. I left an earlier voicemail, but I had to scratch that because I literally couldn't speak. I have some bad allergies, but I don't think we should go after Ace and Newell. I'm sorry, but like we're looking for best player available. We're at the 8th to 9th range. The Raptors are the only thing stopping us from like a Kaman Malawak. Like I really don't see any other team taking him out of us. Like the Hornets, Mark Williams, he, Bam, and Khalil Ware. The Pelicans maybe, but like if you're the Pelicans, you're like in the top 4 pick most likely. Yeah. So I don't think the Raptors are going to stop us from getting Malawak. I think it's a better prospect than Ace Newell. I think Ace Newell is a great prospect, but he's not like this super high ceiling player in my opinion. Maybe on the defensive end, but like offensively, I haven't seen like enough out of him to be like, yeah, he can have a high upside offensively. And I think in the situation that the Raptors take Malawak, I think we have to go after someone like Derick Queen. I just like, I get the hype with Ace Newell that he's like this great defender, can be this great defender one day. But Derick Queen, like, is just such an interesting prospect. Like, I was thinking about it. He feels like a way more mobile Vooch, and that might be underrating like Vooch's like mid-range game, like 3-point game. But Derick Queen with a much more if he can be that much more mobile Vooch next to Josh Giddey, I think that really does accentuate Giddy's game a lot more. I think that helps Coby White's game a lot, because if you get someone like Ace Newell, like I don't think that it's gonna really make Coby White's game that much better. I don't think it's gonna make Josh Giddey's game that much better. So I think we gotta go with someone like Derick Queen. I don't know. I don't really know, man. I don't really want Ace Newell.
Derick Queen, come on, Asa Newell. And listen, it seems like you just aren't high on Asa, which is perfectly fine, right? I don't think you can go necessarily wrong with either one of these guys. I do think that some have higher ceilings. Here's the thing. The way that you talk about Asa Newell is the exact way I talked about Joakim Noah. I've told the story many times on the show. I did not want the Bulls to draft Joakim Noah. I did not want them to draft Joakim Noah. He is now my favorite Bull of all time. I know he's not the best, but he's my favorite Bull of all time. And I think sometimes, like, I didn't see a super high ceiling for Joe, right? I thought, like, Joe's going to come in, he's going to be pretty much how he is. But no, you never can really project, even at Joe being an older player, how he came in and really refined his game so much and grew, right? So I get what you're saying on Asa. I understand. Like all three of these guys, I would love for different reasons. I think Asa is more plug-in right now for what the Chicago Bulls need. I think his defensive ability, his rim running ability, his shot blocking ability, he's the only above rim player even out of those two, no matter how tall Kaman is. He really doesn't play above the rim like that yet, right? But Kaman probably has the highest ceiling because he's only been playing basketball for 5 years. Derick Queen is just the guy that you look at and he's like, you trust him, whatever the potential is there for Derick Queen, you trust him to find it because the dude's a physical specimen and he has those advanced post moves, even though defensively sometimes he leaves some to be desired. I think if the Bulls are able to add any three of those guys, they add so much and they all kind of in different ways fit in with what this backcourt looks like we're getting out of this team. Again, if that's the backcourt you're investing in going forward. So I'm not going to play them against each other. It really is a pick your poison depending on which style more fits with how you like to see your center and what you want to see your center play like. So I think that's the thing that you got to look at it as well. All right, let's get into the next one, man. This one's from Todd.
What up, Hayes? It's Todd. Giving you a shout after your show on Saturday where you discussed a couple of the I'll say down draft sleepers that we could get at, which looks more likely considering we're, as of today, a game behind Miami, who's lost 10 in a row, and a half game above San Antonio. So it looks like we'll be picking somewhere, assuming we don't make it to the playoffs and we get only one of the two play-in games, we'll be picking somewhere between 9 and 10. But I do want to talk about what if we make the playoffs, if we gel and continue to gel as we're seeing with the team, and we make the playoffs and we pick out of the lottery. I have two names that I want to throw at you, one of which is getting zero, and it's hard for me to even find a scouting report on him, but zero conversation around him. But I'll talk first. I want to get your opinion on who I call the Bizarro Pat Will in a good way, and his name is Rasheer Fleming. Rasheer Fleming. Same exact build, height, everything is Pat, but with heart, with will, ironically, and with a game that I thought we were getting with Pat over the last 5 years. I think that he would be a great pickup as I'm starting to see now more that we could use a nice 4 or obviously a 5 that I've been talking about, for the last year with Malawash. But if we don't get a Malawash or even an Ace of Newell or a Derick Queen, I really like Rasheer Fleming, man, and I think we could get him late or mid-draft, somewhere around, if we're in the playoffs, and somewhere around between like 15 to 20, something in that range, maybe a little bit later if we do well, say we, whatever. But yeah, Rasheer Fleming, I want to get your opinion on him. And then lastly, Bangot Dak. Bangot Dak from Colorado. Tell me what you see when you see him, and don't think maker. Don't think maker. A lot of people immediately see 6'11", skinny, and think maker. He ain't that. He ain't trying to be a 5. And this is, you can flame me, but I see Kevin Durant in this kid, man. He moves like KD. He shoots like KD. He does a lot of things like an early KD, and I even compared their stats. Obviously, he's not Kevin Durant, so I'm not saying that he is, but I went back and looked at Kevin Durant's first year, 1 year at Texas, and then obviously Bangot here at Colorado. And if you compare based on just minutes, they're not the same because Kevin Durant was obviously a star and went number 2. But at their minutes, production-wise, I want to get your opinion on Bangot Dak. Why is nobody talking about him at all? Like, he's not even mentioned for like late first round, early second round, anything. I'm not seeing any conversation around him. So let me know what you think, bro. Okay, talk soon. Later.
I have talked about Rasheer Fleming before, bro. I actually talked about Rasheer Fleming kind of in depth on a couple of, I think it was last weekend's episode where I went into the weeds of draft analysis and players that can be gotten late. But Rasheer Fleming is definitely an interesting prospect there for the Bulls, right? I think you look at his motor and those type of things that he brings. Like, Rasheer Fleming has a lot of the game that makes sense, right? Now, the question about it is that, I mean, you made some comparisons there that I think a little bit are higher. I don't want a Patrick Williams replacement, right? That's not what I'm necessarily looking for in my draft. Like, I get what you're saying is that he brings some of the things that we wanted to see from Patrick Williams, and he does it more organically. That's for 100% fact. But I think where the Bulls are at least slated to pick right now, it would be a huge reach to get Rasheer Fleming. Like, most mocks have him going like 18th, right? So now if the Bulls do end up making the playoffs, they get bounced in the first round, that changes some things. But I think overall, like, I'm just looking at it like this. Like, again, not to knock Rasheer Fleming, because I do think that he's one of those guys that you could have him as your small forward next to Matas Buzelis, and maybe you're not worried about it for years going forward, right? Like, it's not that I don't like Rasheer. It's just that I think that there's more upper end talent than Rasheer, and we'll see that. Now, as far as Bangot, like, listen, bro, like, you started making KD comparisons, man. Like, you're tripping on that. Like, he's a really interesting prospect, and I think that you don't see a lot on him because he's not that good right now. Like, he's not that good right now. Now, he's not playing a whole lot of minutes, only 19.7 minutes per game. He's only started 19 out of 34 games. You know what? You made the comparisons to KD. I'm sorry, but Bangot Doc feels more Patrick Williams-ish to me. And I'm a little bit concerned by that. Not to say that he can't maybe turn it and round out, but I think he's a guy that reason why you're not seeing him in a lot of mocks, because he would probably benefit from going back to school to play a junior year. That's just what I think and what I feel right now. If he were to go, he's probably going to go in the second round. If the Bulls were to pick him up in the second, I'm not necessarily mad at that either. You want those development, high level, that can maybe turn, high potential, I should say, players in the second round. And we'll see if that's where the Bulls end up going, man. But I'm not mad at the prospects you brought up. I just think we'll see. We'll see. I'll just say that. We'll see overall. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.